your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Liverpool podcast, brought to you by the Global Sports Podcast Network. It's the Wednesday edition of the Daily Liverpool podcast, and we have no Premier League football to look forward to for the next couple of weeks as the second international break of the season arrives. A lot of our players, as you'd expect, are off on international duty. And I suppose this is not the worst thing. Normally, I don't like international breaks, and most people that I speak to, that I know, aren't big fans of the international break. But I think on this occasion, with two back-to-back defeats in the Premier League, three back-to-back defeats in all competitions, with that defeat in the Champions League as well, then it's probably not a bad thing that the players get away from all the kind of media speculation and the overreaction that you see whether it's in the media or even some sections of social media with supporters. It's probably not a bad thing for the players to get away, see some new faces, join up with a different team, different circumstances, and hopefully just get these defeats out of their system. Losing 3 games at Liverpool is seen as a crisis, even though it's not. We've lost 3 games, as I said, 2 in the Premier League. Are there concerns? Absolutely. There are genuine concerns about the way that we're playing, the goals that we're conceding, the lack of fluidity in our forward play. But I think that this is something that we did see coming. At the start of the season, I think there was a bit of concern that we had really gone through a major overhaul of players. And let's not forget, and I think people have forgotten about the Diogo Jota tragedy, because I think at the start of the season, there was a lot of talk amongst the supporter base, but also in kind of wider footballing circles with media pundits and journalists, saying that, look, we don't know how this Liverpool team are going to react at different points of the season over the tragedy of losing one of their own. And I think some people have forgotten that. It's just, okay, well, we're 2-3 months on now, and people have just forgotten about that. And whilst I wouldn't say that is the reason that we find ourselves where we find ourselves, which is not in a terrible position, but I do think that it's one element of a few reasons why this Liverpool team are not functioning in the way that it normally does and the way that we expect it to. As I said, that we did see this coming. I just think that the last minute goals and the winners in the opening 6 games of the season maybe masked all of those issues. And I think any team that goes through the kind of change that we did in the summer, 2 new fullbacks, a new midfielder, which really has kind of fundamentally altered the balance of our midfield. We've got an entirely new forward line. And so I think that it's reasonable to expect that there's going to be some kind of disruption. And it's going to take a little bit of time for these players to gel together. We've also had change in the coaching backroom staff. Giovanni van Bronckhorst has come in, and we just don't know what kind of impact that is having on us, whether it's tactically or on the training ground. So it's just a case of this team having to gel together in season while the games are coming thick and fast. And I suppose it's going to be up to the senior players, the likes of Alisson Becker when he's back, obviously Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahim Konate, Andy Robertson, Mohamed Salah, Alexis McAllister. There are senior players in that team that are going to really have to drag this team through this kind of sticky patch that we've found ourselves in. The problem, though, is that a lot of these senior players I've mentioned have got issues of their own. Alisson Becker is injured, so he can't impact the team. Ibrahim Konate, has probably had, I would say, his poorest start to the season while he's been a Liverpool player. The only issues that Ibrahim Konate has had historically when he's been at our club, since he's been at our club, is his fitness record. But other than that, his actual form has always been pretty consistent. But that has really taken a hit this season for whatever reason that is. Whether it's there's disruption in that back line. Trent Alexander-Arnold is not there, that kind of player that he's used to. The kind of tactical makeup of Liverpool this season, whatever it is, or of course the kind of looming contract situation where Konate is in the final season of his contract. Whether it's that or the kind of tactical side, we can only speculate. But his form has taken a hit of that. There's absolutely no doubt. And then the other player, or the two other players that have their form has been affected. One is Alexis McAllister, and I think the reason for that is fitness. With McAllister, I'd say it's fitness. He missed a lot of pre-season. He was injured, and he's now playing catch up. As are a few other players, the likes of, obviously, we've mentioned Alexander Isak before. He didn't have a pre-season, so he's playing catch up. And so I think with McAllister, his is a fitness issue, and he is so important, so pivotal to the way that our midfield performs. And I think that it's one of the reasons that Florian Wirtz hasn't really hit the ground running, is because McAllister behind him hasn't been in the best of form. And I think that when you do see that pick up in form for McAllister, I think that you'll see an improvement for Wirtz as well. The other senior player, obviously, that you could argue is not pulling his weight, and that's probably not the best way to put it, but is not as effective as he has been in previous seasons, and that is obviously Mohamed Salah. And Salah I think he's looking exposed simply because we've got an entirely new fullback situation at right back behind him, whether it's Jeremy Frimpong or whether it's Connor Bradley. That relationship is going to take time to build. And there is just no relationship to build at the moment when there is constant rotation in that right back position. Whereas with Trent Alexander-Arnold, it was pretty much consistently Trent and Mo down that right flank. And obviously the way that he played as well is radically different to the way that Connor Bradley and Jeremy Frimpong play. So there are lots of kind of moving parts to this situation, and there are a lot of reasons why the team is not clicking and gelling at the moment. And yet, despite this mini crisis, as many have kind of characterized it, we still sit in second place in the Premier League, a point behind leaders Arsenal. So it could be much, much worse. Now, I think it's going to be important for some of those senior players, the likes of McAllister and for Salah, to go away to their respective international teams and refine some of that form that Salah is looking for and the fitness that McAllister is looking for. I mean, some of the positive news is that Ibrahima Konate and Hugo Ekitike have both travelled to join the French squad. And normally, as I mentioned before, we're all kind of, holding our breath thinking, oh, I wish you didn't have to go on international duty because, the fear of getting injured. But I think on this occasion, the fact that both of those players, Konate and Ekitike, are travelling, it means that they're both fit. Ekitike we had concerns about him midweek in the Champions League against Galatasaray. Konate both seemed to limp off Chelsea, but I don't know whether that was because Van Dijk might have booted Konate a few times for being absolutely rubbish this season. But the fact that they've travelled, I think, is a good thing. It means that we don't have an injury crisis at centre-back, which, we are on the verge of. Leone is out for the whole season. And if Konate goes, then we've just got Van Dijk and Joe Gomez right up until the January transfer window. So let's have a look at the players that are leaving for international duty and what that means for them, what it means for us. Connor Bradley, who hasn't had the best, I think, of times this season, he also came back from an injury at the start of the season, so he was in and out of the team, hasn't really hit the ground running this season, really hasn't found a rhythm. And as I said, I don't think it helps that there's this constant kind of rotation between those two right backs. But he's going away on international duty for Northern Ireland. And funnily enough, one of the games that he's playing is going to be against Germany. So he's going to be coming up against Florian Wirtz. So let's hope he doesn't go in too hard against Wirtz. The fixtures that he's playing, Friday, October the 10th, Northern Ireland home to Slovakia. And then Monday, October the 13th, Northern Ireland welcome Germany. So that will be an interesting game for Liverpool supporters to look out for. Hugo Ekitike, Ibrahima Konate, as I mentioned, have joined up with the French national team. Friday, October 10th, France host Azerbaijan. And then on Monday, October 13th, they travel to play Iceland. The Dutch national team have got quite a few Liverpool players now. We've got Jeremy Frimpong, Cody Gakpo, Ryan Gravenberch, and obviously Captain Virgil van Dijk joining up with the Dutch team. Thursday, October 9th, they travel to Malta. And then Sunday, October 12th, they are at home to Finland. So you'd expect them to get maximum points from those two games. Another one that I think is going to be of real interest for us is Alexander Isak will be playing for Sweden, or at least he's travelled to join up with the Swedish squad. You'd hope that he does get minutes. Friday, October 10th, Sweden will be hosting Switzerland, and Monday, October 13th, they are hosting Kosovo. So let's hope that he gets more minutes under his belt and that he can, find the back of the net, because, we need a fit and firing Isak. To be fair, Hugo Ekitike, I think, has been absolutely outstanding. I think he's going to be such a player for Liverpool. But if we can have Ekitike and Isak terrorising defences, then it can only mean that we're going to be scoring a lot of goals and picking up a lot of points. The Hungarian national team has called up Dominik Szoboszlai and Milos Kerkez. Saturday, 11th of October, Hungary at home to Armenia. And then Tuesday, October 14th, Hungary will travel to play against Portugal. Szoboszlai is just a machine. He just plays every single game. He's got to be one of the most athletic players in modern football, and so I expect him to probably be playing both of those games. He is captain as well, and then Milos Kerkez, who hasn't enjoyed the best of starts at Liverpool. I think he'll be happy to get away and get minutes with Hungary, go to another familiar environment, maybe just get some more confidence in his game as well, because I think Andy Robertson has just reminded us what a great left back he's been at the club, and that he's still worth his place. Georgian Mamardashvili will be joining up with Georgia Saturday, October 11th. They travel to play Spain, which will be a tough game. And then Tuesday, October 14th, they travel to play Turkey. Andy Robertson, as I've mentioned, Scotland captain. Thursday, October the 9th, Scotland are at home to Greece. And then Sunday, October the 12th, Scotland at home to Belarus. So a real opportunity for Scotland, really, to pick up some points in that group. And yeah, that left back position is really up for grabs. I think at the start of the season, most people were thinking, well, the club have shelled out £40 million for Milos Kerkez. That means he is the number one. And although he has played every game, whether it's, he started every game, and he's been substituting in most games. But Andy Robertson has also featured, I think, more times this season than many of us expected. And so, extra minutes for Andy Robertson as well. It just means that there's a lot of competition at that left back spot, which is good for us. And then Florian Wirtz for Germany, Friday, October 10th, Germany at home to Luxembourg. And then, as I've mentioned, Monday, October 13th, Germany travel to play Northern Ireland, where Wirtz will come face to face with his club colleague, Conor Bradley. Mohamed Salah is also in action for Egypt. Wednesday, October 8th, Egypt travel to Djibouti. And then Sunday, October the 12th, Egypt versus Guinea. So again, those are a couple of games where you just hope that one, Salah comes back fit, no injury concerns, but that he also scores. He's to score some goals, or he provides some assists, so that he can hopefully bring some confidence back to Liverpool. And then the other big one, I think, that for us is really important is Alexis McAllister, who travels to meet up with the Argentinian squad. Saturday, October 11th, Argentina at home to Venezuela. And then Tuesday, October 14th, Argentina at home to Puerto Rico. So you're just hoping that these players can come back fit, no injury concerns, and come back quickly. The Manchester United game is on a Sunday, so it gives 3 or 4 days for those players to kind of rest and get ready for what is going to be obviously a huge game. It's always a big game against Manchester United, always has been, always will be. But with back-to-back defeats for us, United winning their last game, they will be coming to Anfield, make no mistake, looking to pile on some more pain. So we've really got to be at it to win this game. And personally, I just think it's the perfect game for us. I think winning it will give the team and the supporters just a huge lift. Nothing better than putting the Mancs in their place. But I've said on more than one occasion that one of the issues that we're facing this season, whether it's a deliberate thing or whether it's an unconscious thing, is that our tempo has been just really, really slow. The tempo in our game has been really slow. Well, I'm not sure Anfield is going to allow this team or any Liverpool team to kind of meander around with the ball around our own penalty box. Anfield is going to demand high energy, high tempo, and just to really go at United and hopefully remind ourselves of what we're capable of when we go full throttle and really take the game to the opposition. So, huge game to look forward to. But that is all for today. You've been listening to the Daily Liverpool podcast, brought to you by the Global Sports Podcast Network. Join us again tomorrow as we get through this international break. Until then, thank you for listening.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out as the clear winner, with 4K video recording from your phone, AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the description to learn more about Zencastr. Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.